This Pennsylvania wilderness area is located within the 30,000 acres of Weiser State Forest, named after the Pennsylvania officer for Indian Affairs, Conrad Weiser. In 1742, Weiser requested that Count Ludwig von Zinzendorf, the leader of the Moravian Church, and his followers embark on a missionary expedition to ease tensions with the local Indian tribes. While traveling through here, Count Zinzendorf named this area St. Anthony's Wilderness in honor of Anthony Seifert, a fellow missionary. This area has a long history of legend and lore attached to it. During the Count's time here, his journal documented place names and indigenous beliefs about the area, including some places translated as Demon's Den, and references to evil spirits associated with local hills and caves. Prior to the Count's visit, in the 1670s, Swedish immigrant Peter Nilsson Lyken settled in the area north of St. Anthony's Wilderness, which eventually became Lykens. Some local storytellers compared the eerie similarity between Lyken's name and the term lycanthropy, or the condition of being a werewolf. Another interesting fact is the time period in which Lyken left Sweden. This was during the peak of the Swedish witch hunt known as the Great Unrest. Pennsylvania folklore writer Henry Shoemaker told the tale of the Line Mountain werewolves in this area. But there are also many cryptid tales associated with this mountain range, including the well-documented Bindnagles church creature that first appeared in 1910, and again in 1985, 2001, and 2008. In October of 2012, a Lykens man called the Pennsylvania State Police to report damage to his RV. He stated that just after midnight, he was camping with his girlfriend in a remote area of Weiser State Forest when he saw something move past the window of his camper. He said he turned on the external light of the camper when the creature began throwing rocks at his RV, breaking the bulb. He stated that the creature then threw several more rocks at the camper, smashing through one of the windows. This incident made national news, prompting locals to question the validity of these events. In this episode, I camp in the area of the alleged 2012 RV attack as I discuss local legend and lore. The history of this area goes back to 1670 when Peter Lyken traveled from Sweden to settle here in this Pennsylvania wilderness. The date 1670 is important to this story because when Lyken fled Sweden, that was during the peak of the Swedish witch trials. During this period, it was estimated approximately 300 to 400 people were executed in Sweden, accused of being witches, and that was 20 years before the Salem witch trials here in the United States. But that period of Sweden was hard to imagine. The fear during this period in Sweden was that witches were kidnapping their children, having sex with them, and basically stealing their souls. So Peter sets up here just north of us and just above Lykens. The borough of Lykens was actually named after his grandson, Andrew. So the people of Sweden brought some of this fear and stories with them over here to the Pennsylvania valleys. One thing that started to catch on in folklore was the last name of Lykens. The term lycanthropy means werewolf, and we actually see it start to be introduced into literature in the 16th and 17th century. So there was talk of Lyken last name being related to lycanthropy and werewolf. So fast forward and these tales become legends, and we have Henry Shoemaker, who is a storyteller here in Pennsylvania. So we have to be careful with Henry Shoemaker because he was known to embellish and possibly even make up stories to add to what he was collecting as actual historical fact. So Shoemaker's Line Mountain werewolf story was set just north of here across the Northumberland line. There was a time period where wolves were killing everybody's sheep in that area. A strange older man came to town and really took a liking to a girl called May Paul. And while he was courting her and trying to gain her interest, none of their sheep were being killed. but all the sheep of the farms around them were being slaughtered daily by these wolves. One night, a guy was out hunting and saw a huge wolf, is the way he reports it, and he shot this thing. So he tracked this blood trail, and when he found it, it was actually this man lying there dead. The legend goes he's buried up there in Northumberland in the werewolf grave. Shoemaker continues to explain how that family and Maypaw's sheep were never harmed again after that. Shoemaker also writes that many wolves would gather around this guy's grave. So the Greek name lycanthrope has nothing to do with the Swedish meaning for lichen, which was hope and happiness. But it makes you wonder if any of these stories have anything to do with all the wolf road names that run through this area here. It's not just werewolves reported to be running around in this area. There were also many reports of cryptids and other strange creatures that couldn't be explained, the most famous of which was in 1910, the Bindnagle Church Road creature. There were many newspaper articles printed about people citing this creature. It all started in June of 1910 when several chickens were being stolen from pens in that area. They thought it was just thieves at that point, but it wasn't until October of 1910 where they started to see what was taking these chickens. And it's a strange description. One person described it as sort of a dog or a bear-like thing. Its front legs were longer than its back legs. Another one said this thing stood straight up on its hind legs and could walk and run. At one point, they witnessed this thing bathing in the Swatara Creek. There were bands of armed men that set off to try to catch this creature, and there was actually a cave in that area. There's a few videos out there that located this cave off the side of the Swatara. But this band of armed men searched that entire area trying to find out what was killing these chickens. One of the strange things about the story was they found a pile of 23 chicken heads, nothing else but just the heads. Flash forward to October of 1985, there was another sighting. A man claimed he saw this same creature, a small, white, furry creature, walk out to the road while he was driving by. This story was kind of overshadowed because at the same time over in Enola, PA was the Pine Hill Road creature that turned out to be a guy in a suit that was terrorizing the area, and he was charged, but that story made a lot of headlines. But at this same exact time, we had the Bindnagle's white furry creature show up again in that area of Swatara. But there are also alleged sightings of this Bindnagle Church creature in 2001 and 2008, according to some of the databases for Bigfoot and cryptid tracking in Pennsylvania. Now fast forward to October of 2012. There is a man from Lykens camping in his RV where I'm camping at right now. He reported the next day to state police that his RV was vandalized, and the state police come out to take the report and saw that, yeah, he had a broken window, a broken light on the camper. What he claimed was he was sitting in the camper with his girlfriend when he saw something pass by the window outside his camper.
With his girlfriend.
What I saw was something walk by the window, kind of like this, but I could not see a full thing.
He turned on the light to light up the outside, and this thing started to throw rocks at the light. It continued to throw rocks until it broke one of his windows. This thing actually made national news.
Side light to escape discovery. Reed gave chase, jumping into his truck alongside his girlfriend. The two even made special Bigfoot calls in an effort to locate the creature.
This thing is, and he was brought back to this area here and interviewed by a few reporters, but he claimed that he saw a Bigfoot that day, and it wasn't the first time that he saw Bigfoot up here. But if you look at the PA Bigfoot sites that track reports of cryptid sightings here in the area, you can see that there were several around this area, and including the Bindnagle's Church incident, which is 30 miles south of here, and several over to the west of this ridge, but it's all centered around this ridge right here. So who knows, maybe something interesting will happen tonight while I'm staying in my camper. I actually have a trail cam out that I can log into wirelessly and see the outside and see what's going on. So we'll see if something happens in the morning after I wake up. But if something does happen, I'm gonna get it with my cameras. I have two 4K cameras running here now, so, oh yeah, and I got a Sofern Q8 Pro. It's like 10,000 lumens or something like that, but it's if something's out there, I'm gonna see it in 4K and in 10,000 lumens, so we will see. But it is a nice night. It's getting a little chilly. but it is almost fall. The heck is that? Somebody built a lean-to out here. Huh. I don't know. Maybe some type of memorial or something. Also have a pretty cool remote control light setup going on back at the camper, so. Very quiet out there. So many crickets. So far, no issues, just a very quiet night. I do have my trail cam out there that I can watch. And somehow I actually get Netflix all quiet on the Western Front. And a good book. But I do have a remote control for external lights. Well, no visits from Bigfoot last night. Guess he didn't care about my camper. But just a nice, quiet sleep in the woods of Weiser State Forest. This is a really nice spot. It's permit only, so you can reserve them on Reserve America. No Bigfoot, no werewolves. Definitely check it out.